Get in, nerds. We're playing Victoria 3. We are still working on colonial resettlement here. And otherwise, we're just trying to keep the ship of state floating by. I realized that actually the chemical plants I can bring up because they are going to be producing some of the fertilizer that we'll need to continue to switch our rice farms over to soil enriching farming. But that said, the private sector is producing just so many livestock ranches. I can't even. It is not great. I wish it wouldn't do this. I wish it would build chemical plants, but it is what it is. So we're going to queue these in, I think, behind the government admins. We do absolutely need the government admin. That is not something we can live without at this point. Tohoku. Okay, actually, there is one thing I realized I need to pay attention to just now, which is that we need to switch more of our farms over, more of our logging camps over to producing hardwood, to make sure that the hardwood is available for our arms industries to continue to produce arms. Colonial outsourcing. The movement to preserve no colonial affairs is concerned that cheap colonial labor will be used to make their jobs obsolete. We'll all end up in the poorhouses, I know it. How will we be able to sell our produce when we have to compete with thousands of acres of virgin lands worked by dirt-cheap native labor? Now, alleviate their concerns. This reduces colony growth and increases enactment time. Or, of course, we'll exploit the colonies. This adds 25 to their support and radicalism. Well, I don't want that, certainly, so we'll go with this first one. Reduced colony growth speed is not a problem right now because colonies aren't growing. An increased enactment time is just kind of the price you pay for keeping this movement relaxed. Because, again, it's actually adding quite a few radicals here every week. I hadn't realized it was that physically large, but I guess the Hay Min are actually a huge proportion of the population, even though their actual amount of political power is very low on account of this is not a very egalitarian society. So, fair enough. I'm also thinking that actually part of what's going on here is we're having, because we don't get these extra, we're not getting these bonuses, which were part of what was keeping our economy solid before. How are we doing with minting? See, that's really bad. That's really bad with what's going on in Hokkaido right now, because we're too short on infrastructure on labor for Hokkaido to be able to function. Like, we don't. No, well, also these are because clippers are so expensive. But we're getting more shipyards built, and that should reduce the cost of clippers significantly. I put these over to military shipbuilding in the anticipation of eventually using these ones to build fleets. I'm pretty certain that that's not really going to affect things. So we've reduced the cost of clippers a little bit by building these extra shipyards. It's interesting. I didn't realize we were using so many clippers. Although, I think partially these are just not. These produce 35, so I think once they're fully employed, this will continue to go up, and this number will continue to go down. Because our total productive capacity with 4 levels of shipyards is like 35 per level, so it's 140, and our demand is 133. So I think in the course of that, we'll be significantly reducing the cost. We need Kanto and Tohoku on road maintenance right now. That is very good. Again, reducing the cost of iron is an absolute priority because we need to make sure that we are building enough iron to live, and to keep our construction sectors efficient. with that said, we're actually now facing a large hike in tool costs. So tooling workshops might end up being a priority. Let's see. Building them in Kansai and Kanto. Let's double dip in Kansai here. Dissenters break ranks. To outside observers, the samurai may appear firmly committed to the idea of colonial resettlement. But behind this facade of unity, discord has long festered. Now a clique of dissenters have finally had enough, and have officially broken with their fellow members over the issue of the reform. For how long have we stood together? How many times have we lent a willing hand your way? Yet our concerns are left unanswered, and our desires left unmet. If we shall not be heard here, we shall go elsewhere. Splitters, may the devil take them. This gives us minus 15% enactment chance. Loosen the purse strings, maybe we can lure some of them back. This costs us a bunch of money, but not that much. But it does still give us 10% reduced enactment chance. Or offer them custodianship over a new draft. This gives us a setback, but it gives us 5% increased enactment chance. I need to find out where this is going to come out of. So, here's what we're going to do. We got 19.6% chance of a success, 17.1% of a debate. I'm going to hit custodianship over a new draft. Okay, so it basically all came out of the chance for debate. So that's not super duper useful. It is what it is. I was just curious. I need to find that out. If we don't get colonial resettlement passed, it's not the end of the world here. So, 2 additional levels of tooling workshops in Kansai. And where do we want those in our overall system? Oh boy. Okay, so the shogunate joined that. Well, that's the end of that. This movement's toast. Yep, I know it. Not gonna deal with that. This is a chill run. We'll work on colonization some other day. So I think these are gonna go up in the chemical plants before the increased logging camps. So it's going to be good. So these government admins are going to cost us 40 additional paper in our market. Paper is currently pretty affordable. Paper mills are fully employed right now. These in Kansai are having trouble hiring. That's really curious. Why can't you hire? Okay. Weird. It's the cost of wood, I guess. That's a shame. With that having been said, our finances are doing much better. So I think when we convert these iron mines over, we'll continue to increase our... might flip one more construction sector over to iron frame. Might even do both. And that'll mean that we're not consuming any of the wood that our economy is producing on construction. Well, no, we will still be. We'll reduce it by about half. Which I think we should be able to do and tolerate pretty well financially overall. Let's look at the iron market right now. So each iron mine is producing 40 iron. So as we increase by another 120, we'll be able to do at least one without a problem. Although, what's the difference in base cost between wood and iron? Can I look at the base price? I can look at the current price. Iron is currently 43.9 pounds, and wood is currently 30.5 pounds. Ooh, that actually will be more expensive. I wasn't thinking about that. Okay, we're experiencing a rank reduction, so we're going to have to put a little more money into the government because I do not want to go down in rank. I'm going to change up our interests. Let's go to the Baltic so that we can improve relations with these Nordic countries. Because those countries can be colonizers in the mid-game. I don't know. It's perhaps possible that my ambition to move to a completely iron-based construction situation is misplaced. But, you know. So the intelligentsia would like freedom of conscience, but truthfully, I don't want to lose the authority, and also... Oh my goodness. The shogunate fell out of the government. Johnny, what are you doing? Cut that out. We're trying to run a country here. That was very odd. I mean, it's not odd. I saw that they'd resigned from the government due to their being involved in a revolutionary movement. I should have known that would happen, but it is kind of a funny animal. With that having been said, they're much less happy than they were a little while ago. I think because they got a lot of radicals. So, with that having been said, we have the possibility of completing the Meiji Restoration now. They need to not be powerful. The shogunate need to not be powerful, and they need to not be in the government. Currently, they're powerful. They're at 47.1% of clout. There's essentially no chance of them not being powerful in the medium term. So that part's not going to be possible, but there will definitely be options for it going forward in the future. Again, just making sure I've got my road maintenance edict active in the places where we're building to increase building speed. I'm going to increase the game speed here overall since there's not that much going on. Alright, the shogunate has become happy once again. That is very good. Come on, Buddhist monks, get happy. Can I switch off of no health system? I actually can. Go to charity hospitals. Problem is I need a lot of, well, number one, I've got a huge population to begin with, so I don't necessarily need the higher healthcare and reduced mortality. The other side of it is I don't necessarily want to do that because I don't have the bureaucracy to handle it right now. I've still got the working against the system bureaucracy debuff, which will go away in 3 years, and that'll give me a little bit more bureaucracy to play around with. And of course, I'm going to get some more from these government administrations. We're still working on percussion camp. We're going to go to general staff immediately after. Should have romanticism finished relatively soon. And then after that, what do we have spreading to us in production? Still crystal glass. Okay, that'll finish really, really soon, hopefully. Yeah. Alright. So we're getting these government administrations built. That will cost us some additional money, but not too much. We're essentially stable in our financial situation, so that's good. Is there any way to increase population growth? Assimilation conversion. There's crystal glass. Ainu. Ainu language and North Asian heritage. Japan or East Asian heritage. So Ainu are never not going to be discriminated against in our culture. But they're 30% animist. If we promote national values, we can increase their conversion rate. Education access and qualifications. No, that wouldn't be of use. And there's the percussion cap. Excellent. So let's go ahead and queue in some munitions industries. Okay, interesting. Let's put them in Kansai. We're short on infrastructure in Kyushu, so we need a road maintenance decree for that right now. I thought I'd been careful about this, but apparently not. So, let's go ahead and get one level of port built. That's going to have to go up at the top. And then with these munitions plants, we'll queue those in so that they're in the middle of this this whole sulfur and lead and whatnot development that we're working on here. So what do we get for production tech? We got Bessemer process. That's not super useful to us right now, unfortunately. Oh, we're not that close to romanticism, actually. So let's not worry about that for now. Use 3 generals. 51, you're 55, you're 52. Okay, so they're going to be still sticking around in power for a while now. Skirmish admin is in Tohoku, and these chemical plants are in Shikoku. So let's make sure our decrees are appropriately arranged. So now we've got a little bit of extra bureaucracy to work with. And actually, bureaucratic cost hasn't gone up that much, which is good. So once this finishes out, we'll move back from Kyushu to Kansai. And that'll provide us with the infrastructure that we require to do the work we wish to do. And that work is building stuff. What's infrastructure in Chugoku? It's actually really close. I'm going to cut one of these logging camps. I don't think these logging camps are actually too important right now. Iron is now pretty affordable. I'm going to flip one more level of construction sectors over to iron frame. We'll see what the damage is once the week turns over. Okay, yep, it's where we thought it was going to be. Again, not too bad. We can probably tolerate this level of weekly cost, and that is increasing our overall construction costs. And Kyushu does have now the infrastructure that we need, correct? Yes, it does. Alright, beautiful. We have a tooling shortage. Ha! That's okay. Let's go ahead and get this... Let's go ahead and get these up in front of the chemical plants in Shikoku. Blessed are the meek. The Buddhist monks in Kansai are assuring peasants, Japanese Mahayana peasants, that despite the harsh conditions of their lives, they are serving the greater good of the Japanese nation. Serfs shall be rewarded in the hereafter for their service. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Imbue them with loyalty to the state. This is extra loyalists for standard of living increases, or absolve yourselves of impure thoughts. This is reduced radicals from standard of living decreases. let me see. Standard of living's not really going down for the working class, but it might. On the other hand, we are getting loyalists from standard of living increases. These are just having an overall low standard of living. So we'll do the first one. Because again, that's with respect to increases. We actually had a significant drop in standard of living, and I'm not sure exactly why that happened. Probably because of lower throughput and reduced. Well, I'm not sure. I'd be lying if I said I knew exactly why. All right. So get these tooling workshops going. That will increase the cost of iron again by a little bit, but we can tolerate that pretty well. We've also reduced the cost of wood significantly here, and that is worthwhile. I definitely think that more logging camps would be useful. Ah, the private sector is building some. Wonderful. Alright, so that's good. So let's look at our cost distribution now for construction goods. We're spending about 20.3k on iron. We're still spending 17.4k on wood. I think I made an error in estimating that I would reduce my overall cost footprint by going over to iron frame. But with that having been said, I'm feeling pretty good about where we are financially right now. We can always pop in another. Well, actually, we really can't. We don't have enough goods that are luxury goods being widely consumed to really be able to benefit too much from consumption taxes at this stage. Sulfur shortage. Right. Let's not use sulfur. Oh, they've got a base sulfur cost. Heck. Alright, well, I guess we're building sulfur mines now, whether we like it or not. Oh. Massive planning, extraordinary strategist, big, grand strategy. Wow. Much planning, so economy. See, this is one of the reasons operating a closed economy is actually genuinely really difficult, because, like, if I had trade routes right now, I could import, oh boy, Austria. What's going on with you? If I had trade routes right now, I could import, sulfur and not have a problem, but I don't. Austrian proletarian revolt. Government provisional government. A presidential republic with landed voting. I wonder what they were fighting over. Probably autocracy. Oh, right. I was going to use my influence to increase my relations with a bunch of different countries. A bunch of small countries in Europe. We're already maxed out with the Russians, so that's good. Pretty soon we'll see if the Ottoman Empire loses their recognition, which they very well might. Anyway, here's the sulfur mines popping off, so hopefully that will allow our chemical plants to function. So that significantly reduced the cost of sulfur. We do have a fertilizer shortage. Cool. So now we'll grab some more farms and move them over to soil enriching farming. And that should increase the cost of fertilizer, which will in turn get our chemical plants operating. In fact, we'll just do that with all of them. So these plants will be producing a ton of fertilizer, and that's just fine. Because when the time comes to be running... Wait, let me just check. Okay, we're pretty good on sulfur. And there's romanticism. Wonderful. So let's go ahead. Actually, I'm going to wait until the Haymen start a movement for agrarianism, because that'll make that much faster and more effective. Pop these up in front. Let me see, we got another 9 months before we hit general staff. Resource boom. Raw goods industries in Japanese Hokkaido are reporting a small spike in goods production in our gold fields, which led to an extra stockpile being available in the state. There's now potential to reinvest it back in this state. Of course you should invest this boost back into the industries. Without them we wouldn't have the boost at all. Are you mad? Without the workers, you would have no one to run your businesses. We should be rewarding them, not you. Boost our resource industries further? That would be very good. Or reward the workers in Japanese Hokkaido, plus your standard of living. Let's boost the industries. Alright. So what we ideally want is for these to pop all at once, and preferably right when we hit general staff being active. That's the goal here with all this business. I'm actually going to set these chemical plants to working on LeBlanc process right away. That's going to make them inefficient, but it will keep the... It'll reduce their productivity, which isn't necessarily a problem because we want them to be able to flex upward. We don't want them to be too sort of hyper-productive right now. Yeah, so that's about 21 weeks. Yeah, that should basically put us where we want to be. 7 months on that, 6 months. 6 months is about 24 weeks. So yeah, this should just about function to have all the plants we want operative right when we want them. Austria, why would you do this? Why would you make me sad? Who won Austria? Okay, Austria won Austria. That's fine. Okay. Dial it back. Well, I'm not super happy about that, but that's part of why we're developing better infantry. So that when the Austrians come a-knocking, we can be ready to fight them. I think my ideal outcome is that the AI does just kind of as the AI does and completely over-mobilizes, thus costing them a giant barrel full of money, and then we can just kind of muck about and remain mobilized at a reasonable level. And as they're over-mobilized, we can just kind of be chilling, protecting Japan and making sure that nothing goes too crazy. And when they naval invade, we'll push them back into the sea, and that'll be fine. Because I don't think they're superior to us technologically, at least not in terms of military. They're actually inferior to us militarily. Yeah, or they're going to be by the time we finish our switchover, which should happen pretty soon. Prussia and Great Britain are rivals. That's... well, it is what it is. So here come the lead mines, at least. And the munitions plants should be kicking into solid gear pretty soon. 13 weeks left on general staff. That'll be good. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a perfectly aligned situation, but it was pretty okay. So, we're getting these food industries built. I'm actually not gonna use these to produce liquor, at least not right away, because we've got an overwhelming abundance, actually, of liquor. We're right at the sweet spot in terms of supply and demand for that. The industries are profitable without being too profitable, without keeping the price too high. So we're actually at a really good spot with that. I don't want to rock the boat on that whole situation. We'll see how the switch over to skirmish infantry affects our finances, because we are going to have to start buying the ammunition output by these munitions plants in Kansai that we're building right now in another 5 weeks. And that's partially why I'm not being too bullish on flipping the last of our construction sectors over to iron frame, because I want to make sure that we can afford to buy the ammunition we need for our armies. Where are our relations with Austria? Neutral. Okay, that's not great. We will... If they're going to do a diplomatic play at any time, it will be when we do this flip over. When this tech completes, because we will be in a debuff to our effectiveness as a result of switching over to the new production methods, and that's going to last for a year. And as you can see, it's a significant debuff. So right now we're in a bad position, but we'll be better later. This is costing us additional money. So how can we deal with that? I think the big thing is we can reduce the cost of wood. Interestingly, the cost of meat is way up. That's okay, though. So let's get some wood, some more logging camps built. Chubu is short on infrastructure, so that needs ports. And Kyushu needs a port as well. I'm just going to put those at the top. Put that food industry there. Get those ports built. So what else is needed in terms of our market? Yes, we need logging camps. I'm going to turn off these road maintenance decrees for now. Just so that I can have a visual to what our actual situation is, infrastructurally speaking. Okay. Kansai and Shikoku genuinely have available infrastructure. Let's go with 5 levels in Shikoku. We're having an event. Oh, God. Oh, I don't like this. The Chugoku Eruption. A violent eruption has shaken the state of Chugoku. Fragments of tephra and volcanic ash have destroyed buildings and crops, taking some of the lives of our people. The dense column of smoke was followed by a clear explosion. Shepherds who worked at the base of the mountain aimlessly turned their eyes at the now bright and clear cloud. The landslide came after. We can't predict an eruption, 20% devastation, and we might get a famine, or our people need us. 3.2k expenses for volcano relief effort for 2 years. Oof. That's quite a bit. I'm going to go with the first one. I think we actually can risk a famine at this point in the game. Because, again, we have a massive population and we can't necessarily... We're not necessarily in a position to provide for all of them with our relatively small amount of industry. So I think that actually having having mortality will not... It's not that I want it, it's just that it's something I can live with for now, while we're continuing to grow industrially. With that having been said, it's been a very solid episode. We've gotten a lot done. I've had fun. I hope you all have had fun. And I'll see you all on the other side.